you want to talk about. What questions do you have? Matt?
Let's talk about Class 7A. I know last year you mentioned that it was on the docket, or at least being discussed amongst the UIL. Where are you guys at with that? And has there been any movement? Do you have anything set possibly for 2024 to look at it in the upcoming realignment?
Well, we will always be looking at it. I think I did this last time, and I'll do it again this time. It's really a math problem. Currently in 5A, 6A, there's about 500 schools in those two conferences combined. So you have to ask, how few schools can we have in a conference and make it work geographically and make it a legitimate conference? The smallest one we have is 4A in terms of total number of schools, and that's in the mid 190s. So if you think, 200 times 7A, 6A, 5A times 3 conferences, you're going to need about 600 schools to make that work. We know we have 500. Where's that other 100 going to come from? And when you look from the bottom of the current 5A down to pick up another 100 schools, you've got to go pretty deep in the enrollment spectrum. You get in that 1,100, 1,200, 1,300 range, there's just not many schools at all, like 2 or 3, in each of those kind of ranges. So to pick up a full extra 100, you have to go too far to make 7A work currently, but Texas is such a fast growth state, there are some ISDs, it feels like open a new high school every 7 minutes. So, as we go and they don't open new 2A high schools, right? They're opening bigger high schools. So as those continue to be added to the roster of UIL schools, we get closer and closer to that 7A range. Until we can get to about that 600 range, to have a completely separate conference from district play on, that would be difficult. Then, we've also talked about another model that would give you a very similar to what Dr. Elza described in 1A, volleyball, baseball, softball, where you could group them for district play and separate them in a different playoff bracket in the postseason. That's complicated, but it's more complicated in some ways, but it does solve the math problem that I just discussed. So where that lands, we'll see. We're certainly moving that direction. The question is when will we be ready to actually make that move? We went a long time in 5A before we added 6A. And it seems like it hasn't been very long since we added 6A. So we're getting there, just hadn't gotten there yet.